Guys, please wake up. Now there's an old woman out there trying to scam colored folks, and it's got me absolutely livid. She's got people convinced that they're Khoisan and that they're entitled to millions in reparations from Britain. But it gets worse. She's even making fake Khoisan IDs, selling them to these poor people with the promise that these bogus IDs are their ticket to riches. Can you believe this? People are actually falling for it, handing over their hard-earned money for these phony IDs, all because they've been fed a lie that they're going to get rich quick. It's infuriating. And the amount she's charging for these fake IDs? It doesn't even matter. It's too damn much. Even a single cent is too much to pay for a lie. This is where I'm really losing my cool. How can anyone be so gullible? How can they seriously believe that some random woman can just hand them millions because of a piece of paper she printed off her home computer? And where the hell is the government in all of this? Why haven't the Financial Intelligence Center and the Hawks shut this down yet? What are they waiting for? And don't even get me started on that ridiculous pig farm trading scam from a while back. People were actually buying into the idea that they could purchase a pig from a fake farm, and that the farm would take care of the pig while they earned interest on their investment. Seriously? Who in their right mind thinks they're going to get rich off an imaginary pig? Of course, there were no pigs, and there was no farm. It was just another Ponzi scheme, plain and simple. And the older participants were getting paid with the money from new suckers who bought into the scam. But how many people lost everything before the authorities finally stepped in? The police and banks eventually froze the scammers' accounts, but by then, countless people had already been ripped off. And if you think that's bad, let me remind you of an even bigger scam, OneCoin. Back in 2016, a woman named Ruja Ignatova, who's now known as the Crypto Queen, launched this so-called cryptocurrency, promising that it would be the next Bitcoin. She convinced people all over the world, including right here in South Africa, to invest their savings in it, promising them untold riches. But guess what? OneCoin was a complete and utter fraud. There was no blockchain, no transparency, no real value, nothing. It was all smoke and mirrors, designed to trick people into handing over their money. And people bought into it, believing they were getting in on the ground floor of the next big thing. And where is Ruja Ignatova now? She vanished into thin air in 2017, just as the authorities were closing in on her. She's still at large, and billions of dollars have been stolen from investors worldwide. And the people who invested? They're left with nothing but empty promises and worthless digital tokens. This madness has to stop. These scams need to be crushed before they even have a chance to take root. I'm not just angry at the scammers, although they deserve every bit of the fury coming their way. I'm angry at the people who keep falling for this garbage. Wake up. Stop being so damn naive. If something sounds too good to be true, it's because it is. These fraudsters are preying on your desperation, on your hopes and dreams for a better life. They're not your friends, and they sure as hell aren't going to make you rich. All they're doing is robbing you blind and laughing all the way to the bank. To those of you who've been scammed, I get it. Times are tough. Everyone's looking for a way to make ends meet, to get ahead, to find that one lucky break. But there are no shortcuts. If someone promises you the moon, they're probably selling you a piece of cheese. Don't be a fool. Think before you act. Ask questions. Do your research. And for heaven's sake, don't trust some stranger who claims they can make you rich overnight. And where the hell are the authorities? Why aren't they doing more to protect vulnerable people from these predators? The Financial Intelligence Center, the Hawks, they should be all over this scam like vultures on a carcass. Don't wait until the damage is done. Act now, before more lives are ruined. We don't need another pig farm fiasco, and we sure as hell don't need people throwing away their money on a dream that's never going to come true. Enough is enough. It's time to wake up, get angry, and say, not on my watch. Guys. I'm telling you, this nonsense has to stop now. Last year in 2023, I had one of those random encounters that makes you think, did that really just happen? I was at the ATM, probably just trying to deposit or withdraw some money, minding my own business. You know how it is when you're standing in a queue? Sometimes you strike up a conversation with the person next to you, maybe talk about social issues, politics, the state of the country, that kind of thing. Well, that's exactly what happened. An older lady next to me started chatting, and somehow we got onto the topic of the Khoisan people and social grants. Then she drops this bombshell on me. She says, at least the Khoisan will have their own kind of social grants. They'll get R1,000,000 each, all from reparations coming from overseas. I didn't think much of it at the time. It sounded like one of those urban legends people like to throw around, you know? So I just nodded, finished my business at the ATM, and drove away. That was the end of it, or so I thought. But then, just yesterday, I see this on Mnet and my jaw hits the floor. They're talking about the exact same thing. Apparently, there's a woman out there who's taking this ridiculous claim and turning it into a full-blown scam. She's got colored people in the Western Cape believing that they're Khoisan and that they're entitled to millions in reparations from Britain. And it gets worse. She's charging them money to make these fake Khoisan IDs, promising that these bogus IDs are their ticket to a financial windfall. Let me say this loud and clear. If you have to pay to be paid, it's a scam. End of story. The fact that people are falling for this garbage is just mind-blowing to me. These scams, they come in all shapes and sizes, and they always show up when you least expect them. And let me tell you something. This one is particularly insidious because it's preying on people's identity, on their heritage, on their hopes for a better future. It's disgusting. Now, where the hell is the government in all of this? Why aren't they stepping in to shut this down before it gets any worse? We're urging the government, no, we're demanding that the government probes this scam quickly, thoroughly, and with all the force they can muster. Before more people fall victim to this nonsense, before more money is stolen from hardworking South Africans, the authorities need to step in and shut this operation down. Let's get one thing straight. Colored people who are being told they're Khoisan and that they're going to get reparations from overseas are being lied to. There is no reparations pot of gold waiting for you at the end of this rainbow. As far as the truth goes, there is no plan, no process, and no scheme in place for any such payments. And if by some miracle reparations like that ever do come, you'd better believe it'll be communicated through the proper channels, through the South African government, not some fly-by-night scam artist with a home printer. But let's be real here. I don't see this happening in the next 1,000 years. So please, for your own sake, don't fall for this. Don't let these con artists rob you blind with their false promises and slick talk. We need to be smarter than this. We need to be vigilant, and we need to stand up and say, not today, not ever. Government, do your job. And to everyone else, open your eyes. This is activism. This is about protecting our people from falling into traps laid by these heartless predators. This is about stopping them in their tracks before they destroy any more lives. Enough is enough. Let's dive into another scam that hit us hard. This one from 2015, and trust me, it's a doozy. We're talking about a scheme so ridiculous, yet so tempting, that people were practically lining up to hand over their money. It's called MMM, and it came straight out of Russia, designed by a bunch of crooks who knew exactly how to reel people in with promises of easy cash. Here's how it worked. You deposit money into the system for another member. Sounds simple, right? But here's the hook. They promised you a 30% return on your money after just 30 days. All you had to do was sit back, wait, and then request a refund with that sweet, sweet interest added on. And guess what? A new member would then deposit money for you, just like you did for someone else. The cycle continues, and everyone's happy, or so it seems. But here's where the whole thing turns into a ticking time bomb. This system only works as long as there are more new members than old ones. At first, it's all sunshine and rainbows. Everyone's getting their money, everyone's excited, and everyone's spreading the word. But the moment the balance tips, when the number of older members needing their payouts exceeds the number of new members coming in, it all crashes down in one catastrophic day. Why? Because there's a backlog of withdrawals that simply can't be met. The money's dried up, and the whole system grinds to a halt. And once word gets out that people aren't getting their money, guess what? No new members are dumb enough to join. The scam implodes, leaving everyone who trusted it with empty pockets and shattered dreams. Are you seeing a pattern here? This is exactly what happens with all these Ponzi schemes. They're built on a house of cards, relying on a constant influx of new suckers to pay off the old ones. And once that flow stops, the whole thing collapses faster than you can say, "Where's my money?" Let me be crystal clear. These scams aren't just harmless games. They're financial predators, designed to chew you up and spit you out without a second thought. And MMM wasn't just some small-time operation. It sucked in people from all over the world, including South Africa, leaving a trail of financial ruin in its wake. People lost everything they had because they believed in a lie that promised quick riches but delivered nothing but despair. And here's the kicker: the government was too slow to act. Once again, they dragged their feet while people's lives were being destroyed. By the time they finally stepped in, it was too late for countless victims. The money was gone, and the scammers? They'd already moved on to their next target, leaving devastation behind. So listen up, because this is the bottom line. If it sounds too good to be true, it's because it is. There's no magic money machine, no secret investment strategy that's going to make you rich overnight. These scams are traps, plain and simple. And if you're not careful, you're going to fall right into one. Wake up, people. Don't let these fraudsters get away with this garbage. We need to be smarter, we need to be quicker, and we need to be relentless in shutting this down before anyone else gets hurt. Enough is enough. All right, let's break this down, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Ponzi schemes. Ever heard of them? You better have, because if you haven't, you're playing with fire. A Ponzi scheme is nothing but a house of cards built on lies, deception, and greed. Here's how these con artists operate. They lure you in with promises of sky-high returns, sometimes as outrageous as 30% in a month. And you know what? The early birds might even get their money back with some profit. But don't be fooled. It's not from some brilliant investment. No, it's from the pockets of the suckers who joined after them. The whole scam is a ticking time bomb because it needs a constant flow of new money to keep it running. The second the scammer can't rope in enough new victims, the entire scheme collapses like a house of cards. And guess what? The majority of people lose everything. You're not investing, you're gambling, and the house always wins. Then there's the pyramid scheme, and it's even more insulting to your intelligence. Here's how it goes. You're told to pay a fee to join this fantastic opportunity, and then all you have to do is recruit more people who'll do the same. Sound familiar? It should. It's the oldest trick in the book. You're not selling a product or service. You're selling lies, plain and simple. These schemes thrive on your greed and desperation. The more people you recruit, the more you supposedly earn. But let's get real. The only people making any money are the ones at the top, the ones who started this scam. For everyone else, it's just a matter of time before the whole thing collapses. There's no if here, only when. And when it does, you're left with nothing, while the scammers walk away with your hard-earned cash. Both of these schemes are designed to exploit you, to prey on your dreams of getting rich quick. And here's the harsh truth. If you fall for them, you're not just a victim, you're part of the problem. You're keeping these crooks in business. Wake up. These schemes are illegal, immoral, and they're coming for your wallet. Don't be the fool who thinks they can outsmart the system. The system is rigged, and the only way to win is not to play. Let me hit you with some hard truth about the history of the Ponzi scheme, and trust me, it's as dirty as it gets. The whole disaster started with a man named Charles Ponzi in the 1920s, and believe me, he was no mastermind, just a scam artist who got lucky ripping people off. Ponzi wasn't even the first to come up with the idea, but he's the one who put it on the map, so much so that the scheme now bears his name. Here's how it all went down. Ponzi promised investors in Boston a 50% return in 45 days. Yeah, you heard that right. 50% in just a month and a half. And how did he claim to pull off this miracle? By exploiting the differences in international postal reply coupons, supposedly buying them cheap in one country and selling them at a profit in another. Sounds complicated? It wasn't. It was a complete fabrication. People, desperate for a quick buck, flocked to him, throwing their life savings at what they thought was a sure thing. And at first, Ponzi did exactly what he promised, paid out those insane returns. But here's the kicker. He wasn't making any real investments. The money he paid out came straight from new investors. He was robbing Peter to pay Paul, keeping everyone in the dark. The scam grew like wildfire. As more people piled in, Ponzi raked in millions. But just like every Ponzi scheme, it was doomed from the start. When the cash flowing in couldn't keep up with the cash being paid out, the whole scheme came crashing down. People lost everything, homes, savings, their futures, all because they believed in a con man's lies. Ponzi ended up in prison, but the damage was done, and the blueprint for financial ruin was set. Ever since then, countless scammers have copied his formula, preying on the naive and the desperate, all with the same result: ruin. So next time you hear about an investment that sounds too good to be true, remember Charles Ponzi and the financial destruction he unleashed. It's not just history, it's a warning.